This morning, NewsNation is learning more about the pandemic's impact on businesses and how some might have been able to take advantage of federal assistance programs. There has been a lot of money exchanged, billions of dollars. But it turns out that some of your favorite celebrities, like Kanye West, Reese Witherspoon, Khloe Kardashian, they submitted claims for PPP loans and received millions of dollars. But now those loans have been forgiven, and those wealthy business owners, they don't have to repay them at all. Rich McHugh has been following this story for us. Rich, I know that you've been digging deep into this, and what does it mean?
Good morning, Adrian. The idea was to help, ordinary Americans weather the storm of the pandemic, and small companies weather the storm of the pandemic. The government gave out $800 billion in loans to these small companies, but they made the rules so easy to qualify that even some billionaires passed, and their companies passed with flying colors.
When ordinary Americans were struggling during the pandemic and small businesses were closing by the thousands, the government doled out 11.47 million Paycheck Protection Program loans, or PPP, billions of dollars to companies in need.
The folks in Congress who wrote the bill to establish PPP and send the money out to businesses, the main goal was just to send people money to keep them employed.
But millions and millions and millions also went to companies owned by the uber rich and celebs like Kanye West, Khloe Kardashian, Jared Kushner.
The overriding lesson that I've taken away from this data is the government really wanted to put a lot of money out into the economy and get it into the hands of people.
Derek Willis with ProPublica collected the data into a database to search every single PPP loan that was given out.
And as a result of that, they designed a program that made it easy to apply for, relatively speaking, and easy to get money and easy to get it forgiven.
For instance, Kanye West's company Yeezy got $2.3 million and change. Khloe Kardashian's company Good American LLC received $1.2 million and change. Businesses related to Jared Kushner and Donald Trump took in over 25 PPP loans worth more than $3.65 million. The list goes on, but the kicker? Most of the loans have been forgiven.
Walk me through why they would be given these loans and why they'd be forgiven.
But the short answer is they were eligible to be given these loans. And because the eligibility requirements were not very strict.
Kanye West was made a billionaire, by Forbes at the same time that, he was out taking PPP loans.
Carol Roth, author of The War on Small Business.
It just goes to show you that there are winners and losers in central planning, and the wealthy and the well-connected are taken care of at the expense of those who are not.
In March, President Biden in his State of the Union made this vow.
And we're going to go after the criminals who stole billions of relief money meant for small business and millions of Americans.
And earlier this month, he signed a bill giving the Justice Department more latitude to investigate people accused of fraudulently collecting these loans.
The structuring on PPP was really flawed from the start.
The reality, according to Roth, is that the super wealthy were well within their rights in taking these loans.
Even if you were wealthy, because that was the way that it was structured by the government, you got a free pass.
This is all shocking information to people, including myself, but this is all legal, or this was legal. Is that right?
Yes, this is entirely legal for almost all of them. There are certainly some companies that are part of the fraudulent taking on of the PPP, but for most people who are the wealthy and the wealth connected, who ethically we may not think really needed that loan, they were just following the rules and regulations in the way that they were put forth. So, ethically, maybe it wasn't a great decision on their part, but the blame really resides here with the government.
And this isn't one administration or the other, Adrian. This was a bipartisan mess from the get-go.
When the president announced that he's cracking down on fraud in regards to these loans, he's not talking about the billionaires, though.
I don't believe so. I think he's talking, I've seen reported that up to 10% of these loans were fraudulent. And by that, I think they're going after the people who, for instance, were living in Minnesota claiming that they were an orange farmer, or they were taking these loans and using them to buy cars. There's a lot of that in the data, but I don't believe it was these billionaires. They apparently followed the rules and had some very good tax advice. The ethics are questionable, but looks like they did not do anything wrong.
They didn't break any laws. All right. Thank you, Rich. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.